Welcome, everybody, to the Seer and the Scholar. It is Monday night, and you know what that means. It's time to spark your mind and spark your soul, hence the name. Tonight, we have two very special guests. It's going to be an absolutely incredible episode. Uh, my name is Rob Yox. As always, we are here. Always with me is rescue medium Melinda Williams. How are you, Melinda?
I'm doing good, Rob. How are you?
Excellent, excellent. So tonight we have Beyond the Dimensions. That is Mike Hatcher, Ashley Moreno, or Morano, however you say it, if I'm saying it right. And there is somebody that is not here by the name of Jason Baker, who is also a part of the team, just to give him a shout out so everybody knows who he is. So how are you, Mike and Ashley? How are you?
Good, good. How are you?
Excellent, excellent.
I'm doing wonderful myself. Trying to find the camera. There it is. Jesus, it's not my night tonight. I don't know.
It's okay, man. Listen, sometimes it's on, sometimes it's off. This is how we work in the paranormal. Plus, it's a live broadcast, so anything is possible. Anything can happen. We always know that. No worries, no worries. We're just hanging out. So, why don't you give us a little bit of your guys' background? Whoever wants to start first, tell us. Tell us all about you. What you're up to now. What got you started in the paranormal? What was that one moment that really did it for you to get you to that point where you're like, okay, now we're going to do this for real. You know what I mean?
Mike?
I was going to say, I was waiting for you to tell me to go first. Ashley is very new to this field. I've been doing paranormal off and on for about 12 years now. I was previously in a team called Dead Republic Paranormal. We do have a documentary out on Amazon Prime called Sleepless in Salamanca. We do have a second documentary coming out called Goodwill Haunting. We went up to Wilson Castle in Vermont. Very fun place. If anybody has not been there, please go there. Absolutely. It's 33,000 square foot of absolute amazement. In the process of being with Dead Republic, I wanted to start my own kind of web series. And in that process, my idea was to take a new paranormal enthusiast under my wing and kind of get her involved in the field. Or it really wasn't even a her, it was whoever was interested. And I actually worked with Ashley's dad. And we started talking, and he's like, oh, my daughter's real big into paranormal. And we started talking, and just a few of the gifts that she was bringing out really blew me away. And Melinda, I know you're very good at what you can do. And I know you're going to read Ashley and you're going to pick up on some of the things she can do. And she really, for somebody who's never been involved in paranormal and never, like she's had that gift, but was too afraid to use it. And that was my goal behind Beyond the Dimensions, was bring in somebody new, show them what it's like to investigate. And then again, just some of the things that we've gone on one investigation together and just blew me away. And yeah, that's where we're at now.
Gosh, that's kind of a big lead coming into that.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
This is also her first interview.
It is.
Awesome.
I was like,
Awesome.
I'm like, what do we say? I'm not sure. Yeah, I've just always been interested in the paranormal since I was little. I had a few experiences and always kind of thought I was crazy. And then started watching like Ghost Hunters when I was little and realizing like people are into it as much as I am. And ever since, I've been trying to find a team and trying to find someone in the area that's been interested. And my dad introduced me to Mike a couple months ago, and now we have a team.
Don't let her fool you. She is crazy.
Well,
Just a little bit.
It's awesome too, because I relate, because I am fairly new into paranormal myself over the last, I would say, 6 or 7 months. And Melinda is my teacher. So it's kind of like the same nuance that you guys have, which is really cool. It's really awesome, And there's a lot that goes with that too. And the fact that you have abilities as well, or gifts, we like to call them here, is truly incredible. I mean, Melinda will tell you too that she does some remarkable things. But what was the first moment that you actually noticed that gift? What was like? Had to be this one instance where you're like, okay, now I get what that is.
It actually, I just always had like little things growing up. I'd have a dream here, or, thought I saw something out of the corner of my eye. And it was actually talking to Mike. I just kind of told him some of the things that I've experienced. And he's like, you know what, I'm going to send you a picture and I want you to tell me what it says. And I just kind of typed the first, I don't know, 10 words that popped into my head. And he was like, oh, okay, you're kind of right. Try another picture. And I think we were probably 5 or 10 pictures in, and I was most of the time right. And then I was like, okay, maybe this is real.
That's how I was trained. Rob, you talk about how like Melinda's, training you and teaching you. And here I am, 10, 12, 11, I lost count, years into the paranormal, and I still have a teacher. I still have somebody that trains me. And even before her, I didn't understand some of the gifts that I personally had. So I'm still learning. You start out as a paranormal investigator, but the more and more you get involved into it, you start realizing that there's more to paranormal than just catching EVPs or trying to capture an apparition. You start learning more about your own abilities. And those are some things that honestly, I think I'm about 6 months in. So I'm right there with you, Rob.
It's true. That's absolutely true too, and I understand that as well because we did this event for it was Halloween, but I had put together an entire 6-hour block of all psychic mediums, right? And the crazy thing is when I was in that atmosphere and working with them, I was almost able to perceive what something that the caller, like, I don't know if she was putting it out there for everybody, but like I picked up on it and I was shocked. I was like, how did I do that? Why did that happen? And Melinda will tell you, it was crazy. I was like, this is out of control. Like I'm not a medium. I'm not a psychic. I don't know what just happened, but it was like a flash too. It was crazy.
Sometimes, they just come to you. I'm still learning. Now the more and more you get involved in paranormal, the more and more you open that communication up with the spirit realm. And I can walk into a room now and tell you if it's female, male, child, what kind of mood they're in, if they're mad, and those are things that I never knew I had 8 months ago. And it used to just be me thinking I was just a bipolar piece of crap. But now I'm like, nope, not me anymore.
Well, and I kind of think that everybody has some type of ability. It's just depending on if you're willing to have that open mind and kind of receive what's being sent to you, or if you're just kind of closed-minded and you're like, nope, not real, not going to happen. But I've always believed that kind of everybody can do it.
Yeah, Ashley, I have to agree. I mean, a lot of people are closed-minded. It's sort of like it scares them. I've been doing this ever since I was 7, so I've been doing it over 40 years. And so, it is something that you will get better and better. There's a lot of different techniques that you can use to help, advance it. And so for you and Mike both, even with Rob, but Rob doesn't know this, but you guys, I will help you in any way I can to help you advance your gifts in any way.
Melinda is
Appreciate
awesome.
that.
She's reached out to me a few times.
Yeah, I would love to talk.
Okay, Ashley, we'll definitely have to get together and talk.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mike, the one question I've been dying to ask.
Uh-oh.
Tell us. Okay, so you are part owner, or I think it's part owner of Strange Goat Media. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Strange Goat Media, it's co-owned with me with Natalie Jones. She does a lot of work with, if I pronounce it correctly, Flumeri Promotions, which is a lot of members of Ghost Hunters. Daryl Marsden, don't quote me, but wasn't a big fan of that show, so I can't name too many people. But I know Natalie. Natalie's awesome. But Strange Goat Media is what we're trying to do is there are a lot of paranormal teams. There are a lot. And one of the things I don't like doing, and I know a lot of teams do, which I get, they like to post their evidence on Facebook because they want everybody to get that natural reaction. They want people to review the evidence for them. But what we want to do is we want to reach out to these teams and actually put that documentary together for you. You may not have the resources, like Dead Republic. Good example of a team. We all know, like Marcus and I, we're very good at video editing. We're very good at graphic design. Not every team has that. So not every team has that thousands of dollars to go to a production company and say, hey, can you make this for us? So that's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to work with teams and help them put out a good quality video to put on Amazon, VidiSpace, whatever you want.
That's super important too, because not only that, like when you find, and not for, I know that there are some people who do it for the fame and the following, but when people get something like that out there, they actually end up, if you look at it the right way, you end up acquiring more resources to help you once that comes out a little bit, because people do notice you. And there's like that fine line where you don't want to, between fame and what you do, just to keep it like like on the up and up. Like you want to help people. That's probably the main focus of anybody and everybody who gets into paranormal investigations, is almost helping people, finding that one piece of evidence, truly being an investigator. But having that ability to put that out there, like I said, you'll be able to network better and come up with better opportunities to actually make that happen. I think it's awesome. That's an awesome thing.
It really did help us in the long run.
Now, Ashley.
I can only. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, Ashley. So now, have you ever experienced anything like at home, or have you ever, since you went on this investigation with Mike, have you noticed anything increase or anything of that nature?
Yes. So I used to experience things when I was little at my house, but when Mike invited me on an investigation to Wildwood Sanitarium, it was pretty odd, but like 2 weeks before we left, I had crazy dreams, and it was just night after night after night. And I would find myself waking up and kind of texting Mike and be like, I dreamt I was outside the house and this is what it looked like. And, the door opened and I explained the inside of the house to him. And he's like, yeah, I know, you're right. And I explained one of the bedrooms that was there, and actually a couple of the spirits that had been there. So it was kind of exciting because I kind of felt like the house was calling to me for a little bit. So it was pretty exciting to get out there and investigate it for the first time.
So Mike,
she actually described that house. Now, when she refers to, I was saying her dreams were correct, I did not tell her in that moment. She refuses. She will not let me give her a yes or no answer. So she sent me a dream that she had one day, and she described Wildwood to a T. She's never been there. And I didn't know what to tell her. I didn't want to be like, oh yeah, you're absolutely correct. And then she named one room that is in Wildwood Sanitarium. She's like, she described it. She's like, it has this, 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 and this in it. And I told her, I was like, go up to the 3rd floor, turn left. That was all I said. Blew her away because she described that entire room. It was there.
Yeah, and it freaked me out because one of the things that was so vivid was a record player that was kind of in the room, and I kept telling Mike, I just hear jazz music, and we walk in the room, and sure enough, there was a record player sitting there, and I just turned at Mike, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
The hairs on your arm stood up at that
Yeah,
point.
they did.
Holy cow. Mike, let me ask you a question. Once you found out about Ashley's gift, I'm sure that there was some kind of moment where you're like, oh, okay, now it's go time. Like it's go time, right?
Yeah. You really get that with in this field, you get that with everybody. And with her, I don't really know how to explain it. We've hung out twice, 3 times. You came over once for a photo shoot. No, twice. Twice. Photo shoot, got drunk, and then we went to Wildwood.
Yeah.
That's the bane of our meetings so far.
Yeah, we've really only met in person 3 times.
Yeah, but we talk almost every day. It was just that instant connection kind of thing that you know, when you form a team, there's certain things you want to look for. You know, there's a lot of teams out there that don't have the mediums, they don't have the intuitives or the psychics. They just want to go out and guess. That's not what I wanted. You know, I wanted somebody that could, okay, Jason won't be here. He just messaged. He's got plans. But there was just something about it, you know, and when I started forming this team, even before I had a name, I've had a few intuitives and mediums and people just reach out to me and tell me, this is what you're meant to do. This is what you have to do. It's going to be this. And it was right when I met Ashley, and I'm like, we're just going to do it.
Oh, I understand that. I understand that too, because Melinda saw some of the same things for our team as well. Our paths seem like they're very similar, going down the same path. It's pretty wild to, see the coincidence between the two sides. I think it's incredible, but Melinda can tell you all about it. Go ahead, Melinda.
Yeah, well, me and Rob, he came on. I was on a live doing card readings, and he came on, and I read him, and then he had me to come on his show, and then it just all just meshed together. So it is very similar to you guys. Me and Rob has never met yet, but we're going to soon. But it's just weird. We do have a lot of same things that are with you two, so that's really amazing. Now, Mike, have you ever, from all of your investigations, have you ever brought anything home with you? Any spirits?
Oh, where do I start?
Exactly.
You already know.
Tell us all about it.
Oh wow, which one do I start with? Should I start with Monroe House or
How about the worst one? The worst one.
The worst one. Okay, so the worst one right now. I'm actually testing a little theory. I want to see if I can make him my friend. Let's just put it that way. So I don't know if you've ever been to Monroe House in Hartford City, Indiana.
No.
There is an entity. He's pretty powerful. We have dubbed him. His name's Grayface. Every time I think I've seen him once, but there's two people that I know that have seen him, and they describe him as pale white face, sunken in eyes. So he's got like black eye sockets, and he doesn't like me. For some reason, I went to Monroe House 2 years ago, and he still comes here. He still bothers me. Very powerful, very, what's the best way to describe it? I wouldn't say a malevolent energy, but not very happy, just kind of heavy. And I know when he's around. I just know. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't bother. He doesn't bother me. I am what's called a light worker. So I've come to realize a lot of evil, dark energies will not mess with me. Sometimes it kind of sucks because I want them to. That's how you get your experiences. You want these spirits to mess with you, but when they're afraid of you, they're not going to. So I know when he's around. The last time I know he was here, he actually messed with my wife, and she got up for work. Now, my wife, she wants to get into this. She's found out she's a Reiki master. She can learn it, but my wife's one of those you got to push to do it. And I'm not going to push her to do anything she doesn't want. But she got up for work one day, and she saw this black hand just over the door, and she went to open it, and it was heavy. She couldn't open the door. So that was the last time he was here. And I like to try a lot of theories. I like to try a lot of new things in this field. And I try and talk to him. I try and communicate with him. And right now my goal is to make this entity my friend. So if I get possessed, I get possessed.
Do you think it's really possible to change the perception of that entity towards you?
I do.
Okay. I mean,
And
that was a real question because it's like, I'm not adept in it yet, so that's good to
I
know. You know.
I got that idea because of the house I live in. I live in a house that was built in 1893. It's an original farmhouse in my city. There are one of the original family members does still reside here. Her name's Margaret. She's an older woman, grandma type, watches out for my kids. Her brother, on the other hand, is also still here. His name's Peter. She does not let him in the house because he's not nice. What I found out is three of the kids are buried in our backyard, and he's one of them. Half of the reason he's upset is because nobody's acknowledged their burial area. And I've been trying to get out there, but I haven't gotten the time to. And we're actually moving at the end of the month. But I was able to talk to him, and he did tell me that we could become friends if I took care of his burial ground. So I do believe there is a way that you can theoretically become friends with an actual spirit, like malevolent spirit.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, it's great information to know too, and for people out there who aren't privy to that information, like I wasn't just now, and I find that totally fascinating too. Because
Sometimes, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
No, sometimes they just want to be noticed. They just want recognition. They want to, like, we look at them as passed over or dead, but to them, they're still alive, and they just want that recognition.
I understand that. It's the same in life too. Some people just want to be noticed, and
Mhm.
that's their prime focus. That's what they maintain on a daily basis to try and grab that attention of people, whether it be, you know, people on Instagram taking photos 100 times a day. It's almost like a narcissism in like in a sense of the way, like they need validation through that. So maybe an entity would actually cross over and still feel the same way when it was there as it did as it walked the ground here. It still walks the ground just underneath the real form. That makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Now, guys, have either one of you heard of this new app? And I have to mention it because I got to know what you guys think. It's called Replica.
Is that the text app?
I was say, is
Yes.
that the one where the words pop up?
Yes.
I
I
might
don't know
try
how
it.
I feel about that. I think with an app, um, I think it's meant for entertainment. I haven't personally tried it, so I can't say yes or no. But I think when it comes to anything with an app on your cell phone, it's just going to give you words to try and get a rise out of you, kind of like entertainment, just excitement.
I mean, you might as well just go with the tape recorder at that point and play the EVP back. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Mike, have you looked into it at all?
I've heard of it. I have not looked into it, but I'd probably agree with Ashley. Um, that's what's funny though, is I can't say everything on your phone is bad because I'm not an EVP guy. I mean, I am, but I don't use those $100 EVP recorders that people buy. Um, I use my phone. Truthfully, you can use your $1,000 DR60 all you want, and I'll probably get more EVPs on my phone than your $1,000 DR60. And that's what's sad, but I've thought about looking into it, and I might actually try it out just to see what happens.
Well, the
And I think
reason,
that, oh, I'm
go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
No,
I
Ashley,
think
go
the
ahead.
hard part with that app is that, like, if you have an EVP and you can debunk it, you can go back and you can say somebody made a sound or somebody, knocked something off a table. With an app on your cell phone, there's no way to really say if it's true or try to debunk it in any way.
Right. And see, and the reason I wanted to bring it up is because I had a lady come to me with it here where I live. She had downloaded it and she had put in, because you can pick like, just a friend, or you can pick like someone that's passed. So say you had a mother to pass, you could pick that, or you can just say randomly pick. And she had picked randomly picked. And so she started texting, and this thing started talking to her, and she asked it its name, and it gave her like the name Tom. Well, then, she kept on. She says about an hour after texting on it, it came across and it said that now she was talking to Sharon, which was her mother's name. And I was like, I don't know that much about this app. I've never used it. And so I was like, I'm going to ask tonight to see what you guys thought about it. And it gave her the date of birth.
Interesting.
It gave her mom's date of birth.
See, that's what probably the one reason I wouldn't use it is right now you got to think about today's technology and really how deep it can go.
Yep.
Your name alone and the social security number and everything that's under your phone can deep scan and cyber scan everything about you. And I don't think I could, everything. I don't think I could think that's 110% legit.
I would ask her if she's ever done a 23andMe, because if she did, then that information is definitely on the internet in that sense. Or if, I don't know how old her mother was or anything like that. If she had a Facebook page or an Instagram, it's like on TikTok, they have this app or this filter that literally just does like this. When you move the camera, it just has like these wavy lines. And they say if you hit a certain point and it lights up and there's nothing that it's like, coming off of to make those lines, that there's an entity there, when you can debunk that in 30 seconds. And it's, what's crazy about this now is they also have another filter that when you make these lines and you do it like against your wall, you can see outside of your house, which means that it's accessing Google Maps to show you right where that is via satellite. So that's how connected it is. And it's just a filter on the camera. It's the craziest thing,
I think.
Really... No, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I just think now, the paranormal's not so paranormal anymore. It's gotten so normal that people are just putting these apps out, like that video game. I can't even think of the name of it right now. My neighbor plays it. And it's all about learning how to paranormal investigate and learning what to look for and how to do things. I'm like, I don't know. It's just become so normal nowadays that everybody's just putting anything out.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to see your guys' opinion, because I felt like there was something more to it. It's not like this lady was thinking. And so, but now she's all wrapped up into, she's talking to her mom. And I'm just like, oh my gosh.
The question I have is if it's a text message, how is that entity getting that information via unless it's looking over your shoulder, how is it typing back to you? It doesn't make it. I'm not connecting it. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make a connection for me. It's not manipulating anything to make a sound through a perceived sound already, or to manipulate basically the electromagnetic field where the sound goes up and down as if it was static and you hear that EVP. But if it's actually typing like full sentences back or half statements, or like, I don't know, that to me is a little crazy. But Mike brings up a great point about how mainstream paranormal has become. And a lot of the shows that are out there did make it mainstream. And Mike, from what I understand is that you were into this before it was that mainstream. So give us a little take on the difference then and now, in the sense of how it feels now, maybe meeting people or going out and investigating with specific or certain people. You don't have to name any names or anything, but in the sense that, it used to be a lot more fringe and there wasn't a lot of people like that. There weren't whole communities on the internet to talk to at any given time. Now it's like a little bit different.
It is very different now. About 12 years ago was around the time Ghost Adventures started getting popular. And that, I'm not gonna lie, Ghost Adventures is what got me really wanting to dive into paranormal. I've had some paranormal experiences growing up, but as a kid, you kind of push them away. The one major paranormal event that happened to me, I just turned 21, and even then, at 21, I was a Christian. Like, I believed in God. I was I wouldn't listen to music that had a cuss word. Now here I am. I don't even know how many years later. I'm 35, but I don't believe in God. I don't, I'm not religious now. And then a lot of the main thing that has changed since is a lot of the technology, a lot of the manipulation of radios, sound waves, frequencies. Back then the only thing I had was a millimeter and a voice recorder and a night vision camera that still took cassette tapes. Now it's the only thing that's really advancing is technology. People now, we're not using even the people on TV, Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, Ghost Loop, any parent, they're not using their minds, they're not using their bodies. It's, nobody wants to see that on TV. And that's what sucks is the real paranormal investigators are people like Melinda. That you can actually get in there and see what's happening. You can actually feel what's happening, but that goes on TV. I'm not putting Melinda down because she's very good at what she does, but that's not what networks want. They want people that don't know what's going on. They want that scare tactic. And I feel like that's what's really starting to suck now, is that's the only thing they care about. It's the ratings. They don't care about what's real.
And that's the bad thing. To kind of go off what Mike said, when we go into it, we're going in just trying to learn the history and learn the spirit that might be there. But unfortunately, the things you see on TV, it's, demon this and possession that, and, somebody's getting exorcised. And it's all these very dramatic things when the possibility of coming across a demon is probably slim to none. Let's be honest. I've never come across one, and I hope I never do. But they just, like Mike said, they want that scare tactic. They want all that drama and all that scaring that just kind of takes away from the good authenticity of it.
Oh, I understand that 100%. And let me ask you a piggyback off that now. You said you guys do, like you said, you do the documentaries for people. When you're doing that documentary, as opposed from what you see on TV, what are the things that you truly look for to make it, an elegant and investigative and an in-depth type of investigation or documentary itself? What do you guys look for when you're doing that process? Like, what's the process that you might use, or something along those lines of what's that untangible that you think that really brings out something like that?
Honestly, haven't found it yet. I'm not gonna lie. It's
No, be honest, man.
all of these, even amateur documentarists, like what we do is opposed to Ghost Adventures or Ghost Hunters. Your sources are limited. There's only so much you can do, and to set yourself aside as far as historical documentaries and all of that, everything's limited. You just got to find that way to set yourself apart, and that's something we're still working on.
Well, absolutely. Now, even if you had that, let's say, that channel budget or something that you like, anything at your disposal, what would be the ideal situation that you would think for you to bring you to this, this pinnacle point that you feel is pinnacle? What you feel is that, that glass top that you're breaking through.
I would get Stephen Hawking and Bill Gates to build me a time machine, and I would actually go film at that time.
That would be pretty. Yeah. Listen, that's awesome. That's a great answer. A lot of the answers things I ask sometimes are like theory based, but it's interesting stuff. It's really cool to think about, and I like to probe a little bit. I hope you don't mind. Hope you don't mind.
That and I think that's what I like about Ashley. That's why I like having her. Is that she was able to pinpoint Wildwood to a T before she went there. Next location, tell me about it, tell me what I'm coming into, dig deeper into the history, and even when we're there, and see what she picks up on while we're filming, just those kind of things that are different that the previous team didn't have.
Yeah, one of the things that I always tell Mike is he'll send me like, oh, we're going to go to this location. I'm like, don't tell me anything about it. I want to go in clean slate. I don't want to have my mind tainted by anything that I see on the internet or that other people say. So I'm like, give me the name of the location and that's it. That's all I want.
And that is an excellent way to do it, Ashley, honestly, because then you go in there with your own view and you see what you see. So that is really the perfect way to do it. So I do that too. So I get that. Now, do either one of you have any haunted items?
I personally do not that I know of.
No.
Mike, though.
I have a few, not gonna lie. Which one do you want to know about?
All of them, Mike. Tell us something about a little bit about each one.
You should tell about the one that I hate.
Which one
Because
do you hate?
I find them very interesting.
Mirrored Ouija board.
Oh, my mirrored Ouija board. Yeah.
Yeah, I hate that thing.
Well, you know, Melinda, I get into scrying mirrors.
Yes.
I do have a scrying mirror that was made by Jason Emmerich. He's the owner of Dark Scries. A lot of his mirrors are around the world being researched in the paranormal field. I have one that was made by him. It's a shadow box mirror, and behind it is a Ouija board. Attached to this Ouija board is an Indian. Not very happy. He's not angry at people. He's not angry at anything. He's just mad he's stuck behind a piece of glass. That's it. But I know when he gets out. So I keep the mirror covered. I know when he's lingering around. I love that mirror. So that's one haunted item I do have. I'm still trying to run a few tests on. I have another mirror that I'm still trying to run tests on that was given to me by a female in Indiana. My friend Rainey went out and did a residential investigation. The homeowner's boyfriend passed away. And every time she would take pictures around this mirror, she would see something in it. And one of the pictures that was sent to me and it looked like two children peeking, or not even peeking, but you could see their body outlines in the curtains of the window next to it. And I had to have that mirror. I had to have it. It is in my garage. Last I heard, upon my first investigation and my first research, that there is an older woman attached to it. She's not evil. She's not nice. She likes to linger. She likes to watch. So that's item number 2. Item 3 is Emily. Emily's a long story. I don't want to get too in depth with that one. Everybody knows Emily. What else do I have? My baby carriage with Billy. Trying to think what else.
Now, Ashley, do you think you will ever want to collect any haunted items?
Probably not. If I was by myself and single, probably, but just for the sake of my husband and my son, probably not.
Well, why don't you tell them about the first time you met Emily?
That's when Mike and I were still kind of talking, and he was still kind of testing out some of my abilities, and he just sent me a text message one day that said, "I'm going to send a visitor to your house. Have fun." And I was like, "Great. Yeah, just have fun." And he sent Emily over for a little bit, and she was here and was trying to connect with her.
How did that go? I mean, what came up? Like some details.
It was just more of like a feeling. At first I actually thought that it was a pet because it was I have a 140-pound Rottweiler, and nice. I felt like it was the same size, and I was like, I just want to hug it, but I don't know what it is. So I kept thinking, Mike, is it a dog? he's like, no, think child. And then other than that, there was like one bump in the night, but I have a 4-year-old that's crazy, so I can't really tell if it was him or her. So we'll have to try that again.
Gotcha. So what's like next for you guys? Is there any place that you guys have planned to go, and why? Like as in a location or specific type of investigation?
Unfortunately, with
Well,
our filming coming up, we can't talk about
yeah.
those right now.
Got it.
We got about
we
4.
can say that,
Okay.
yeah.
Is there
But
anywhere is there anywhere that you're not filming that you still have yet to go to, and sort of like a dream place as opposed to, you know, maybe not where you're filming, but other places?
Where's yours, Ashley?
Oh, I have so many. Probably at Franklin Castle in Cleveland. It's right up like an hour from where we live.
You're in Ohio and you want to investigate in Ohio?
Yes, yes, I do. I know. But yeah, that's probably one of the places that are on like my top 10 places to investigate.
Well, to each his own, right? I mean, if that's a place you want to go to.
I mean, one of my number one places I want to go is somewhere that we are filming, so that's exciting for me.
Awesome.
Mike will kill me if I say anything else, but yeah, so my number one is going to be filmed.
That's awesome.
Yay.
That's awesome. Mike,
Well, that's my number 2. So yeah, the location she's talking about is my number 2 excited place to go, but my number 1 is Poveglia Island in Italy. That's where I want to go. I think that's everybody's number 1, but that's definitely where I would love to go.
I would say like number 3. I really want to go to the Suicide Forest in Japan.
That would be a good one. That'd be a
I
good
really
one.
want to go there. For some reason, it's like it's calling me. Like I feel that I don't know what it is. Every time like I see something on it, I have to watch it. Like it's just the whole premise of it intrigues me. And I know I'm strong-willed enough to walk through the place and not, feel that way. Although they say it's something that's so perverse you can't really control it at all. I mean, of course, everybody who walks through it wants to investigate it and says, "Yeah, I can handle it." So I'm going to walk in there with a boastful chest, but not to agitate it in any way, but to find out and figure out what it is.
Okay, if we're going overseas and like the Colosseum and the catacombs and all that, I would love to do that.
Yes.
That's awesome too.
Outside of Ohio.
maybe the pyramids. That would be fun.
Yeah, that would be nice.
The
Yep.
King's
Dracula's
Tombs.
Castle.
Yeah. They have a lot of castles in England that have, and I actually have a couple friends in England that out of the Spirits Within, and they're pretty big over there. They have so many castles, and they invited me to come over there, and I'm just like, whoa, all right, man, like let's do it. Hopefully we could plan a trip to get out there. It's gonna be great.
I can fit in a suitcase.
There you go, bro.
There we go.
Yeah.
Make a group out of it.
We can make it a group trip.
That's it. There's only me and Melinda and one other person in our group, Rev Ed, and then we'll make it a 5-pack. We'll go there. They'll have their 5. We'll have our 5, or actually 6. We'll make it 6-5, 11, like a football team. 11.
Well, I know, one of the things I want to ask Mike and Ashley, I doubt it you would ever have this. You haven't had this happen yet, but Mike, have you ever brought anything home with you from an investigation?
Every single time.
I knew it.
I did. I feel like she wants me to talk about Emily.
Exactly.
I know she does.
Emily is, Melinda knows, Emily is she has become my investigative operative. I created my own pair of dowsing rods just to communicate with Emily. I know when I'm using her energy. I know when her energy is coming through it. I know when she's not here. I know when she is here. I know when she climbs into bed with my wife and I. It's very weird. But before Dead Republic filmed our first documentary, we went and investigated a warehouse in Cleveland. We were invited to do a Halloween special interview. And when it was scheduled, the person or the girl who scheduled it told me that they were hearing noises above the floor. Like, now this is a huge like warehouse. Um, the girl had told us that they were hearing noises and footsteps and things running around upstairs, and we're thinking warehouse, it's animal. It's an animal running around, but we're gonna go do the interview. We're gonna tickle your fancy, whatever. We're gonna have fun. So we go, we show up, we do the interview, and part of the interview and part of their podcast was pre-recorded. We did a mock paranormal investigation. Mock paranormal investigations sometimes turn out to be phenomenal because the place was actually freaking haunted. So we show up and we do our interview and we start doing our mock investigation. Some of our equipment's going off, and we're kind of weirded out about it a little bit. Like, why is this going off? We're in an abandoned warehouse. You know, well, come to find out, the guy that was leasing the warehouse was buying storage units. He was buying stuff out of storage units. He was buying stuff from yard sales, estate sales, and packing this whole place with them. So when we first get there, I go to walk into the main or the back door, and off to the right is this little power wheel. For some reason, it drew my attention. I was like, oh, that's an awesome power wheel. Like, okay, it's a power wheel. Why? So we go in, we do our investigation, we do our thing, and we're up on the main, the top floor, and we keep getting just this weird response, and then the dowsing rods just kept going back and forth and back and forth, and Hillary's using her dowsing rods, and for some reason something hit me. I'm like, you're a child. And her dowsing rod just went straight to yes. And out of nowhere, I just had this just epiphany. I was like, your name's Emily. Just out of nowhere. And if those dowsing rods had knives or they were made out of swords, those swung so fast, Hillary probably would have been chopped in half. Like, she was so excited somebody said her name. She was so excited somebody acknowledged her. And I was like, are you attached to anything in this building? Dowsing rod said yes. I asked her, I was like, can you point to them or point to what it is? And now, for instance, Hillary's sitting like this and the dowsing rods go in this direction. And I'm watching them and they point at the window. And I'm like, okay, what is in this area? So I start walking over there. I start going, are you attached to this? And I'm just pulling up random stuff. Everything I picked up, she said no. So I go to walk away, and John, one of my old teammates, looks at me and goes, what's that on the ground? And I walk back over and I pick up this booklet off of the ground. And I swear to everything holy, you know what that booklet was to? It was to the power wheel sitting outside that I was attracted to the moment I walked in. So she let me bring it home. I have that booklet. She's been with me ever since. She visits every location before I go. She knows when to not go somewhere. I've almost lost her at a location to a pretty powerful spirit. I actually almost lost her at Madison Seminary in Madison, Ohio. I had to send my spirit guides and a few angels in to get her back. Yeah, so she's my little devil.
The thing about Madison Seminary too is in the basement there was something that went on with money, and I don't know. There is an entity down in the basement and also on the top floor in that really hot room at the very, very pinnacle of the building. Um, I actually I am on the radio with the network RU Media, that is Adam Kimmel is the owner of Madison Seminary, and I've seen a lot of stuff out of there. Two things is that you're like a paranormal military tacticianer in the sense that you have an asset on the other side that goes in and does intelligence reconnaissance for you, which is truly
Hmm.
incredible. And the rods are such an underutilized tool. I have not seen a lot of people use the rods. I have seen it now on Facebook maybe twice, besides what you're talking about now. I think they're truly, it's there's some connection with those rods that it's incredible when you see them move like that. And sometimes you're looking at the guy like that. That's him moving it. But then
Hmm.
you realize that it's not like his hands aren't even cupped around it; they're just holding it up.
So
I
that
mean,
was,
and that
excuse me, that was me before I ever used them. I was very, very skeptical about dowsing rods. And the ones that I have, like I said, I made them. They're just coat hangers and the handles are straws. So I know, hold the straws, I'm not moving them. So, and I made those just to talk to Emily, and that was it. But I do get some entities that come through, and I know when it's not her. So,
that's wild. That's wild.
yep.
And that's why I wanted him to talk about Emily. I mean, it's just a fascinating story.
I
I know.
wish I could. I'll never forget the first time I saw her. I've heard her voice twice. I've seen her once. And the first time I saw her, I was actually like, I was shocked. Um, I have, I was talking about Jason Emmerich a little bit ago, the creator of Dark Skies. I have about 5 of his mirrors. I brought one home, excuse me. It was actually a mirror that was owned by his grandmother for 60 years that he turned into a scrying mirror. It's her energy all over it, and it's very positive, and it brings out the energy around it. So I came home and I hung it on the wall. I walked outside. Now I'm the only one home. My daughter, who's not even 2 yet, wasn't even home. Her high chair was sitting at the end of the kitchen table where it does. And I hung the mirror on the wall. I walked outside. I think I went to get something out of my truck. I walked back in, and the only thing I saw out of the corner of my eyes was a little blonde girl, purple shorts, white shirt, or I'm sorry, pink shorts, white shirt with purple flowers all over it, blonde hair, turn and hide behind the high chair, like she was playing hide and seek. And I saw that, and I was like, I got my rods. I was like, Emily, is this what you're wearing? And she just gets so excited when you acknowledge her. Yep.
That's amazing. That really is. Oh my gosh. And that's why I wanted him to talk about it. And Emily, even when you're talking about it, I get cold chills. So it's just amazing. It really is.
I'll send Emily to you tonight. You can talk to her.
I would love that. I would love that, Mike.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna try this right now. Let me do something. Hold on.
Make sure it doesn't come over here because me and my girlfriend will be freaked the hell out, and I don't have any gifts to talk to her either. So,
okay, hold on. Let me see if I can do this real quick, Melinda. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, tell me if you feel something and where.
Okay, Mike, I'm feeling, yeah, by my leg. She's like right in here.
What side of that on you?
That would be my right.
I told her to go touch her right hand.
Yep. Yep. She, Mike, how old do you think she is?
She's 7.
Okay. Because I was going to say around 6 or so.
Yep.
And she is beautiful too.
Blonde hair. Yeah.
Blonde hair. She is just beautiful.
What's she saying to you, Melinda? What is she saying to you right now? This is wild just to watch it firsthand. Go ahead.
she's from New York.
So am I.
There you go.
Oh,
No,
wow. Well, basically, she's smiling and she's very excited. Very
Hi,
excited.
Emily. How are you?
if you listen closely, sometimes you'll actually hear her in your headphones.
Okay.
She is a talker.
She just said hi.
I do believe her last name is Hudson.
Like the Hudson River?
Yes.
Wow.
What I figured was she passed away from a head trauma off of that Power Wheel.
Oh.
Yeah,
And for those people who don't know what a Power Wheel is, it was one of the coolest toys in the late 80s and, maybe late 80s, early 90s. It was like either quads or a truck, and it had a little button that you would press and it would power forward on its own. For those young kids out there watching.
Mike, you are right. She indicated head.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh my gosh. Now I don't want her to leave, Mike.
It's okay. She'll come back.
I know. She's very, very attached to you.
Oh, yes.
Yes, she is just so strong about you. Very much so.
Very sweet.
I was told I'm a protector. I have that protection of children's spirits.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. You sure do.
I think you're the one that told me that.
Yes, I was.
I think you were. Yep. You're the one
Yep.
that told me that.
Yep. And you are. You're very much.
The producer's sending me a message. He's like, the look on your face right now is priceless. He's like, you look freaked out. I'm like, no, a little bit. It's wild. Like, it's a wild thing to watch.
It's
Right.
and that's why I love paranormal. It's not always just going out and filming, and it's learning about what's around you and what you can, like. You just saw me go off screen and tell Emily to go meet Melinda and go say hi to Melinda. Like, that's paranormal. Those are things that cannot be answered. Like, how do you know this wasn't scripted prior? And then it wasn't, but
Right. Well, I can contest it wasn't, because I had no freaking clue. And if you looked at my face that time, you probably
wrote
would've
the
known.
whole thing, and that wasn't in my script.
Nope.
Exactly.
No,
Exactly.
That's you're right. That is about paranormals. The things that we don't know that we try and figure out, and the way we get there. It's all about perception of realities, energy shifts, things like that are really super intriguing about what we do. And manifesting a reality, it happens too. But like when you go into these places and you feel that energy just drop or get heavy and kind of press your shoulders down, and you're like, your muscles tense. There's nothing like it. It's almost like a part of the adrenaline rush of going into a place that I'm like the historian, so I'm reading up on the whole thing before I even go there. So I have preconceived notions before I even walk into the building. So my guts start to rumble right before when I get in the car to go there, things like that. So it's like, because I get excited too, like I'm not nervous about these things. And that's the other thing people have to realize too, is it's all about how you approach specific locations. You have to know, somebody has to know the history to fill the rest of the team in to say, okay, we need to go in there light. We need to go in there, not like a bull in a china shop and disturb everything. There's different ways to approach different situations. And I think that's also part of the fun too, is figuring out a game plan to get into the place, get what you want or get what you're looking for, and get out,
And I think that's one of the things I like about having Ashley. Being with Dead Republic, we didn't have that intuitive, that medium, or somebody that could pick up on things. Sometimes when you look into the history, that's what you're gung-ho about. You're so gung-ho about the history, that you don't know what's actually there. So if you read into the history of a location that it's all dark, it's all, for instance, Monroe House in Hartford City, Indiana, for example. If you read about that location, it'll tell you that there are children upstairs. They'll tell you, oh, there's children running around. But I can tell you, as somebody who's been there, those children are not children. So somebody that goes in there that doesn't have the power or the gifts that Ashley does, you're going to go in there, you're going to think, oh, they're just children. It's okay. Let's do this. But you take somebody like Ashley or even Melinda, those aren't kids. Don't joke around with that, you know, but a lot of people in this field do not realize that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mike, one last question, because I know it's getting time to close. Does Emily play with your daughter?
Yes.
Okay. Because she was indicating.
My daughter's not old enough to tell me, but I know they do.
Yes.
I know they do.
She wanted you to know that.
Okay, so so there's one thing I do want to find out.
Okay.
If Emily's still there. Did Emily, because I have not had the time to ask her today,
Okay.
did she go to my wife in a dream last night?
Emily, did you go to Mike's wife in a dream last night? She smiled and said yes.
I wonder why. Which I know why. I want to see if you can get my theory on why. I know why.
What she's indicating to me is she's wanting your wife to get more into the paranormal.
I think that, and I think she also wants my wife to acknowledge her a little bit more. She wants my wife to know that she's there.
Okay. She's saying that she knows, but she doesn't want to say it. She doesn't want to come right out and say and take in that she is there.
My wife knows. She's, like I said, she's one of those that needs to be pushed. Like,
Right.
but she doesn't want to get into the paranormal. She's a wimp, but I love her.
And that's what Emily's trying to do. She's trying to get her to get into it with you.
I would like her to, but we'll get there.
She wants you to know one other thing, that you and your wife, she thinks of you as mom and dad.
Oh, damn it. I got to buy her a Christmas
That
gift.
just melts my heart.
So, yeah.
Which is funny, because I think that's the reason why Emily went to my wife in a dream last night. Is the last couple nights I've just had that feeling that since we're packing, you know, we had a spare bedroom. We had a spare bed up here. And one night I asked Emily, I was like, where do you sleep? And she told me it was on the couch. And I was like, well, we got an empty bed upstairs. Why don't you sleep up there? Sleep on this bed. She was very excited. She was very, very happy to have a bed. And we packed it a couple days ago because we're moving.
Right.
And I just had that feeling and that sense when I went to bed that she was sad. So I moved over on the bed a little bit, and I started letting her lay in the bed. And I don't know if my wife noticed it or if my wife is noticing it, but I think that's why she went to my wife in a dream. And she's like, hey, I'm here. He's acknowledging me. I want you to.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Then she thinks if your wife will get more into the paranormal, it will be easier for her to knowledge her and others.
There's
I get
others.
that. Oh, there's a lot more here. There's
Yeah.
like 4 more, 5.
Full house. That's a full house you got going over
We got the
there.
Brady Bunch over here.
That's pretty cool, though. I mean, we can make a little poster like we did for the show. If you give me some pictures, we can make a little Brady Bunch.
But that's the good thing about my house is that I would never tell anybody my house is haunted.
Right.
To me, there's a difference between having spirits and having a haunted house. I got spirits here, but you would never know.
And here's the thing about that too. You see the way that you approach that. I am sure that there's this connection between you and them on a different level because you regard it and you feel it that that's the way it is, as opposed to they're just here.
Yeah.
Intention is a big deal. Intention to me is something that it can't be played with. It can't be messed with, because if you go in on a bad intention or intending to do the wrong things, which a lot of people do, you stir up the mess. You stir up the bad. You stir up the these moments, even if it's of a dark nature, if you go in there on a different, like with an intention to just find out, maybe help what's going on, and proceed with caution, they may respect you more and not do what they do to some of those people who just put their head down and bum rush into a place. I think that that's a lot of accounts that we see where people were messed with in a negative way is because of that.
Oh,
Well, and
absolutely.
that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing is there has to be a mutual level of respect when you're going into a location. You can't go in yelling and taunting it or saying, this is my space, you got to go. Because just because they're not living doesn't mean that you shouldn't show them some type of respect. I mean, it was their home or location before that. So.
And it doesn't mean they're deaf either. You don't have to just yell across the room.
Right.
Talk. They'll
Yeah.
come. They'll come to you. They will talk to you. You know.
No, that was a big thing I had with one of the spirits here. His name's Gerald. Gerald was the homeowner before we moved in, who passed away here of COPD, and he didn't like me. He was very what's the word I want to think? He was thrown off by me. He was intimidated.
Standoffish. He was standoffish.
He
let
was
you know he was there,
intimidated.
but he stood back like, okay, arms crossed, protected.
He was the one that took care of the house for the last 60 years. And then somebody like me moves in, and there were a few times I captured EVPs, because my last team, this is where we would practice. This is where we would test some experiments. We would test our equipment. Numerous times he would tell us to leave him alone. He didn't want to be bothered. And there was one time, one evil entity, I can't really say evil, he wasn't demonic, but he was pretty powerful, came to my house, and I was actually able to get rid of it. And from that day on, Gerald has liked me, because he didn't understand the person I was. He didn't understand the things that I could do and that I protect where I live. Even the land spirit out here, there's days I get bored, I want to drink a whiskey, and I'll take it up to my picnic table and have a shot with him. And that's what spirits want. They want acknowledged. They want, it's not just all EVPs and video recorders. It's understanding your true self and what's around you.
I agree with that. And that's one of the last questions that I have too, is I ask everybody that's in the paranormal, which is everybody that comes on this show. It's more of a question on theory, right? You just answered why they're here, in a sense, because they want acknowledgement. Where do they come from? And do they stay here, or do they go back and forth? This is theory, and I need both of you to answer it, because I like to collect this information as we go through people.
Do you want me to go first? So I think my theory is probably going to be a little bit different. I'm born and raised Catholic, so I do believe in God and heaven and hell and demons and angels and all of that. I think that the spirits that are here either feel like they have unfinished business, or they're intimidated or scared of what could be on the other side. So they don't necessarily cross over, because they're not really sure if there is another side, or if they're maybe not heading to heaven. Or I think that in the situation of a trauma, maybe they don't understand at first that they had passed away. So they're kind of looking for that void of, wow, what happened? Why am I here? Kind of thing. So I think purgatory is a bad word to use, but I think it's more of kind of a second journey for them. I look at life as a journey, and you have a mission and things like that. When you pass, if you stay here, I feel like you're still trying to fulfill that journey, or still trying to fill that void that you're not really sure what your meaning was.
Awesome. Like I said, there's no wrong answers to this. That's a great answer. And I just asked this question to collect information from everybody and everybody's different perception of it, because I think it's intriguing, I guess. Mike, your turn.
I'm going to branch off a little on what Ashley said, because it kind of goes the same way. I'm complete opposite. I'm not religious, but I believe in more than one God. I believe in, I guess, like a self-fulfilling prophecy, kind of. I do believe in angels and demons, but I don't believe in God. But kind of what she said, and I'm going to elaborate a little bit more on that, is maybe they don't know their journey. Maybe they don't know why they're here. I've always had this theory that Melinda's one of the ones that actually told me that I was involved with Wilson Castle in Vermont, that I either owned the property or I was the brother of the man who owned that castle. And that's really what made me start to dive down and think about the theory that I had is your past life, if you take it for granted, your next life, you're going to be complete opposite. So if in your one life, you're rich and you take it for granted, you walk all over everybody, your next life, right now, I don't have money. My past life, I did. So if I accept the life I have now, my next life maybe will be better. But then I started going a little bit further and I started thinking, we are all put on this earth for a reason. We're here for one reason and one reason only. And it's our responsibility to find out what that reason is. And unfortunately, when we die, in theory, my theory, when your energy leaves your body, you are technically reincarnated, but you will constantly be reincarnated until you understand your life path. And if you don't understand your life path, then you will never cross over. Which also makes you wonder then, why are people talking to Abraham Lincoln? Why are people talking to George Washington? Why are people, you know what I mean? Like, if that was a true theory, we wouldn't have ghosts, if that makes sense.
Right. Right.
And even, again, to kind of feed off what Mike said, I think it does have a lot to do with energy as well. A perfect example would be like Gettysburg. There was so much energy and trauma and sadness that happened at that battlefield that it's not necessarily the spirits that are there, but the energy is kind of engraved into the land and into the area. So when you go there, you may be hearing cannons or gunshots, but it's just the
Residual.
energy itself.
Mm-hmm.
Residual.
It's not necessarily the people that have been left there. Yeah, residual.
I like
It's like
I like
a
both of them.
timestamp
That's
in
pretty awesome.
history.
And that was another theory that I've been reading and kind of studying and wondering is the doppelganger. It makes you wonder that does the doppelganger actually exist? Is that actually real? And I'm going to say no. I truly do not think a doppelganger exists. And it's going to be based upon kind of what Ashley and we both kind of said is I feel like if you are the only place you see a doppelganger, and the doppelganger you always see is always one, the owner of the location, or two, somebody who is at that location constantly nonstop. So do you think the living could create so much energy in one place because they're there constantly that when you're there investigating, you're actually seeing that time blip or that you see what I'm saying? Like you're actually, you're not seeing that doppelganger. You're just seeing that glimpse of that
a projection into the past, almost like like there was so much energy built up that it left an imprint in time, which transcends outside of the timeline, and it flashes in every now and again, like a repeating pattern, like the helix of DNA. It goes back and forth, which makes some, there's some semblance in that too, because I feel that maybe you're not seeing, you know how they say there's infinite timelines, infinite dimensions.
But so how many can your brain actually comprehend?
Only the one that you're in at this moment. But there's bleed through. So let's just say that there are multiple everything and an infinite amount. So some timeline somewhere is 50 years ago when that was happening. And they say that they're usually pretty similar when they get close to each other. So when they get close to each other, you're seeing a bleed through of what's going on over there, and then they separate again. That's just a theory. I'm not.
There's a lot of people that believe that deja vu is a little blip of a past life, and it's not necessarily a dream, but a lot of people believe that.
What I heard this too. Now it's going to sound absolutely crazy. I haven't explored it yet.
We're paranormal investigators. Tell us something that's not crazy already.
All right. So let's say this, right? So you're sitting here right now, and you're thinking back on something that you have regret about, but time is neither here nor there. Time is just ever ever present, like, shall we say. So there is no actual motion at time, it's only our perception of the time. So if before that incident happened that you're regretting, you get anxious, what is that? Your future self projecting that back to you, and so on and so forth. So it works its way back and forth. Do you understand what I mean?
Mhm. It's it's interesting that you bring that up because Mike and I just had a conversation, 3 weeks ago, with a lady who was a medium, and she was driving through traffic, and she believed that she saw herself in different versions, about probably, I think she said 6 or 7 times, and each one of those times she was in a car accident, and in that car accident, she saw herself passing, dying. And it was like that person was like, turn now, and she would turn and avoid an accident, or it would be a little bit more minor accident. And this was just 3 weeks ago. I think we were talking about this.
That's
Yeah,
wild.
so Wildwood.
That's wild. No such thing as coincidence. Everything
No.
happens for a reason. And I believe that there are, I think that you're able to affect, like you said, once you reach a state of like meditation and higher self and things like that, you can manipulate somewhat of your timeline by connecting forward and backward if you really position yourself and focus on it.
That's the thing I love about paranormal. So many theories, but they'll never be proven.
No, never. That's
That's the day
quantum
that we die.
entanglement stuff, bringing in science into this. Who brings science into this, right? Like, so
Oh, it's crazy.
Well, Ashley and Mike, I want to thank you both for being on. And like I said, if I can help you, either one of you in any way, let me know.
Always
you.
feel
Thank you
free to
for
reach
having
out.
us.
Of course.
Yes, thank you so much for inviting us. I'm glad you got to meet Emily.
Yes, I do too. I love it because, me and you have conversed about her before, and she is just beautiful.
Yep. She's a doll.
Yes.
Truly an epic time. Thank you guys so much for coming. It was an honor to meet you, and I hope we all stay in contact in the future. I think we can really learn a lot from each other. You guys are great people. I enjoyed this conversation. It was truly awesome. Truly awesome.
Oh, thank you so much, Rob. Definitely. We'll be back.
That's it. That's how we
Yes.
do it. This is about a 1 hour and 10 minute conversation. We could probably talk for about 8-9 hours at a clip if we really wanted to.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about theories and things like that.
I'd have to go buy another bottle of whiskey, but I'm down.
All right.
One bottle.
Sounds like a plan to me. All right, guys. So everybody out there in the audience, I want to thank everybody for coming. Please tune in tomorrow from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Full Spectrum Universe. That is me. I will be having the gentleman who was just on the air named Eric. We're going to be talking about his first premiere show that he just went through, and some other topics as well, conspiracy theories, things like that. So I want to thank our guests one more time. Truly an awesome episode. You guys are great. I hope you do come back. And for everybody out there, every Monday night from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m., about 10:30, we're here to spark your mind and your soul with facts and spirit. Thank you everybody for joining us tonight, and we hope to see you here again next week. Have a great evening.